Egypt. Christian Whiton is principal at DC International Advisor. He joins us live on the line from Los Angeles now. And still with us is our guest host, David Coup from The Motley Fool. Christian, good to see you and appreciate your time. Let's talk about, if I could, let me start with the role of the military here. They seem to be doing two things at once. I mean, they seem to be extending an olive branch to the Muslim Brotherhood through the interim leader, but at the same time they've been arresting Muslim Brotherhood leaders left and right. How do you read the situation? What's going on?
Right. Well, it seems like the military, which had appeared to have been really pushed aside rapidly in Egypt, actually, may have been giving the Brotherhood, the Islamists, enough rope to hang themselves with, essentially, paving the way for them to take power, which they did through democratic elections, through a constitution, which many say was skewed toward the Islamists, but now acting very strongly against them. Not just the leader, not just the president, but rolling up much of their organization in order to pave the way for something that is yet to be defined.
Christian, I understand they've arrested former President Morsi. I mean, why have they arrested him? What has he done wrong that would result in his arrest?
Right. Well, I think from their point of view, he's on the losing side. If you look at the way coups happen, taking a lesson from coup attempts against the late Hugo Chavez, for example, in Venezuela, when you just put the person you depose in a location where they can communicate with their followers, rally support, perhaps try to come back to power, that is unwise. If you're going to jump on the tiger, be prepared for what really is going to happen. And they, want to make sure this doesn't get turned around on them, I think.
Christian, the nightmare scenario is civil war in Egypt. Is that a realistic possibility, or is that just being too far-fetched?
I think that's unlikely right now. The people who would do that right now would be the Islamists, the Muslim Brotherhood group that, was just deposed. I don't think the more secular forces you saw in Tahrir Square during the first revolution and now this revolution want that, because the military essentially is doing what they want to have done. So the question is, where do the Islamists get the guns if they want to? I mean, it's not impossible, but all of the forces in the nearby region, including Saudi Arabia, others who are not happy with the Muslim Brotherhood are in fact happy with what the military has done. So you might have some era of repression, but I don't think civil war.
I mean, the bigger issue here, Christine, if you look into the future, if there are elections, is whether the very fragmented opposition can form a workable, functioning government. Do you think that they can?
That I'm very skeptical. That is, the big question here. From the beginning of Arab Spring, when secularists came to Washington, for example, they were not very impressive. They were focused mostly on retribution, saying they wanted to put the military on trial, put officers on trial for their lives, for involving themselves in Egypt's government previously, when they should have been organizing to fight against the Islamists. And there is no real figure. There is, Mohammed el-Baradei, who from the outside is an Egyptian that people know of, but he is not thought to have a very strong following among common Egyptians because he's sort of viewed as a highfalutin UN diplomat. So we'll have to wait and see is the answer. But, they didn't do it right the first time. So the question is, has anything changed since the last revolution that they'll get their act together this time?
Yeah, precisely. I was going to ask. Listen, Christian, we got to go. Good to talk to you. Christian Whiton from DC International Advisory there. And more ahead with our guest, David Coup from